God bless you, family. I'm a changed man for life. Thank you for stopping in and checking out this video. Thank you for stopping in and checking out my channel. I appreciate you all rocking with me tonight. Hope everybody had a great Monday. I called out of work today. Had some personal things I needed to handle, so I was able to do that. So it was a good day for me. I didn't want to go to bed and end the day without stopping in and checking in with you. If you notice the QR code up there, that's for a fundraiser that I'm part of for church called Run for Hope. So if you want to rock with me on that, I appreciate you checking that out. Scan that QR code. It'll take you to where you need to go so you can find out all about the fundraiser. And if you want to donate and support me in that, you can. If you checked out the thumbnail, then you know what this video is about. This video is going to be about funny and cool things that I've seen COs do during the time that I was in prison. Yeah, COs do some funny stuff. COs do some cool stuff. I know a lot of times we tend to think, especially if you're living a particular lifestyle or you're affiliated with certain organizations, in our minds, you know, they're the cops and the cops are just all bad and they don't do nothing cool. They don't do nothing funny. They actually do. And I wanted to share a couple of those stories with you all really quick. And I don't got a lot of them because there's not a lot of funny and cool things that go on in prison, but there are a couple of instances that I can specifically think of where the COs did something funny or something cool. And I'll kick it off with a funny story. So lockdowns, you know, tend to be boring, not just for prisoners, but for the COs too, because there's nothing happening. During lockdowns, there's no movement. People aren't going to work. People aren't going to school. People aren't going to yard. Maybe showers are running. Maybe chow. Occasionally, store packages might be running during lockdown, might not. So there's not a lot of movement, not a lot of things happening. So the officers get bored too. You know, with the prisoners, when we're on lockdown, when you're in cell living, we at least had TV, radio, stuff to keep us occupied. So the COs really don't have a lot of that themselves, especially when it comes to the COs that are in the tower cops in the building. So a funny thing that I used to see a tower cop do every lockdown. This is when I was in Ironwood. It was a level 3. This was during the time that I was there from 2005 to 2010. Our regular morning cop, I think the second watch cop that would come on the morning shift, 6 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. He would do something really funny and cool during the lockdowns to keep himself interested and occupied, and it was cool for the prisoners too. So what this dude would do is he would bring candy bars to work, and he'd get there in the morning, he'd get set up, he'd get situated. They would feed breakfast. A little while later after breakfast, you'd see him come to the bars and he would throw out candy. He would throw out candy bars, Snicker bars, Milky Way bars, whatever. He would throw them out from the tower down into the day room floor, and people would fish for him. You'd see fishing lines come shooting out of people's cells, and people would be trying to catch the candy. So it was a little fun way for him to occupy himself and be entertained, and it was something cool with us. You know, we get to try to fish for candy. So I thought that was kind of cool. A lot of COs, you know, wouldn't do that. It was funny to watch because you see people that already knew and they'd be waiting on him. And as soon as he got there and breakfast was fed, they'd be waiting. You see people through their windows, you see them at the door with their fishing line ready to go. And as soon as the candy bars came flying out and hit the floor, you see people's fishing lines come flying out. So that was pretty funny. Something else that was funny too, and it really isn't funny, but it was funny at the time, was watching COs run to an alarm, and sometimes they trip and fall, and everybody be laughing. And I know that's not funny now. It's not cool that somebody would fall and get hurt. But at the time, you know, it's funny. There's something going on. You know, a lot of times it'd be nothing. It'd be a false alarm or something, and the COs, of course, they got to respond. So they're running full speed trying to get there. And you'll see this little chubby CO running hard as he can, and somehow he get his feet twisted up and fall, and everybody be laughing. Even the other COs would laugh at him once they picked him up and made sure he was cool. That'd be funny too. So a really cool thing that there was a CO that used to do when I was on the level 2. And you know, if you're a CO watching this, you might not think it's cool. You might say the dude was doing too much. But we had one CO that he'd be working his shift, and This time we're on level 2 in a dorm. So when he was going to make his rounds, he would get on the mic first and say, "Attention in the building. I'm bored. I'm going to get up and walk around." And then he would start making his rounds. So basically what he was doing was warning people. If you were doing something you shouldn't be doing, knock it off because he's about to be walking. So I thought that was cool because one, he wasn't trying to bust nobody doing nothing stupid. And two, he wasn't trying to do no paperwork. So that was cool that he would give a little warning like that. I thought that was something cool. A lot of CEOs weren't cool like that. They wouldn't give you no warning. They were trying to bust you. You know what I mean? So if you're just tuning in, if you see that Run for Hope up there and that QR code, that's so you could check it out. Fundraiser I'm involved in for Victory Outreach. We're trying to raise funds. My goal is $5,000. Trying to raise funds for world missions, raising funds to be able to continue to spread hope to the inner cities of the world, take the message of hope to gang members, to drug addicts, to prostitutes, to the lost and hurting. Scan that QR code and check that out for me. I appreciate it. If you're able to donate, cool. Thank you very much. If not, hey, that's cool too. I understand times are tough, but maybe at least you could share the link on your social media platforms. That would be helpful to me. I appreciate if you do that for me one time. So back to the video, back to the stories, funny and cool things that I've seen CEOs do over my 24 years in prison. Probably the coolest, at least for me, because it affected me personally, was when I was on the level 2 yard, and you had correctional officers that were willing to write what they call laudatory chronos for lifers going to the board. And what a laudatory chrono was basically a good guy chrono. The CO was documenting that you've demonstrated reformed behavior, that during the time they've observed you as either your housing officer or as your supervisor at work or something like that, that you've always been a model inmate. You know what I mean? And that's rare. I never heard of that when I was on level 4. Never heard of it when I was on level 3. Wasn't introduced to it till I got to a level 2. And when I started getting ready to go to my first parole board hearing, cats were telling me, hey, talk to so-and-so, your housing officer, and that's going to write you a laudatory chrono. I didn't even know what that was. I was like, what the heck is that? And they ran it down to me, and it kind of tripped me out. The COs would even do that. Because throughout my experience of being on the level 4 yards and the 3 yard, it wasn't like that. The COs weren't trying to help you and do you no favors, especially throughout the 90s and into the 2000s. So the fact that there were officers that were even willing to help you as an inmate, as a prisoner, as a lifer, when you were going to the board, they would do some documentation that was beneficial to you that might help you get a date and go home. I thought that was super cool. I had a few myself, you know what I mean? At first it was kind of weird, like to ask the officer that worked in the education where I worked at. But it was cool that they did that. And they would do them, and when you took them to the board members were very impressed by it. Maybe even one of these times I'll do a video and actually show what one looks like. But those are just a couple little things that come to my mind during my time of funny things and cool things that the COs did. There's some other ones too. There was a CO when I was in New Folsom. There was a CO that worked in the kitchen that would leg wrestle with dudes, with prisoners, with convicts. You know what I mean? That were kitchen workers. They'd be in there leg wrestling, and there's some COs that knew they were just there to do an 8-hour shift and go home. They weren't really tripping. But that's my video for tonight. Again, if you would please scan that QR code for the Run for Hope. Check it out. See if you feel led to donate a little something. I appreciate that. If not, hey, that's cool. If you can, share the link on your social media platforms. Help get the word out. Trying to raise finances for world missions. Trying to raise finances to keep spreading hope around the world. Funny things and cool things that I've seen some COs do. You guys have a good night. I'm a changed man for life. Jesus loves you and so do I. God bless you. I'm out.